What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about what you do and don't need for your next Ironman 70.3 race. So for some background, I'm Atticus, and for about 18 years of my life, didn't do anything physical with my body. But last year, started running, started exercising, started biking, all that kind of stuff, and eventually I decided that I wanted to do an Ironman 70.3. So from that experience, from a complete beginner background, like I'm talking, I didn't even play sports really as a kid. I'm going to talk about what I think is the best stuff for you for your first Ironman 70.3. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have need to have, prefer to have, don't need, but it's nice to have. I'm going to preface this by saying that a lot of the stuff that if you had no running experience whatsoever would need before, I had a lot of hand-me-downs. My dad had been an avid runner all of his life, so I was able to steal some running shorts, and I had my first pair of running shoes I stole from him as well. But that being said, let's get into it. We're starting with the swim. So the three things that you need to have, in my opinion, are goggles, a swim cap, and some sort of swimming clothing. I just got the $10 swim shorts from Target that I already had. I got cheap goggles, but I don't think I'd recommend that, honestly. During the Xterra, which I did a week after the 70.3, they snapped right before the race, and I had to beg people around, please do have any other goggles, and luckily some guy did, and he let me borrow them. Shout out to that guy, he was really awesome. Swim cap, I think, is important when you're training because it helps you get a feel for how your head will be in the race. Most races will give you a swim cap before the race so that they can identify you in the water. But swim caps are like $5 on eBay. So that's what I think you need to have. I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm really bad at swimming, so I'm not sure that I can really be an accurate judge of that, though. Prefer to have is a wetsuit. I got mine from the Xterra outlet, which, if they have your size, is a great resource because it can give you much cheaper prices than buying a from the rack wetsuit will give you. Mine is the thickest possible version, so it's the most buoyant and it's the most insulating, but it can get hot if the race water is too hot. In my opinion, a wetsuit is great for if you have an early season race and it helps you to get in the water before it's a little too cold to maybe swim without one. My race wasn't wetsuit legal, but it might have been. So I took the gamble on buying one just because I knew it would get me into those extra earlier sessions swimming in open water. Now let's move on to the bike. Biggest rule of thumb with bike is buy secondhand. If you can afford it, go buy a $10,000 bike if you're making $1 million a year. But most of us aren't. So I bought my bike off of Facebook Marketplace for $300, and I honestly overpaid for what it was. It's not in the room with me. It's not one of these, but it's sitting out on my porch right now. That's kind of how nice of a bike it is. Bike clothing. For me, bike clothing is essential. It was really uncomfortable for me to just ride in shorts. So after a little bit of experimenting and finding what I like, I discovered theblackbibs.com. I'm not sponsored by them, but they make really good stuff for really affordable pricing. These are their ultimate cargo, I think, and which is great because when I mountain bike, I don't have to wear a jersey. I can just wear a t-shirt, and they have all these pockets. These were $80, so that was, and they offer $40 versions, so really cheap, not really an investment, and I would definitely trade $40 for the comfort of not having to ride in shorts on a hard saddle for a long time. You need to spend some amount of money on a helmet. It doesn't have to be $1,000, but you should be prepared to spend around $75 to $125 on a helmet. You really should not cheap out on helmets at all. Your brain is really fragile, and if you crash and hit your head in a not nice helmet, you're gonna have a bad time. You should really also be replacing your helmet every 5 years is the rule of thumb. I had a really nasty concussion in April, and it took me out of commission for 3 weeks because of how bad it was. So it's not something you should take lightly, and you need to worry about protecting your head. On to prefer to have. Bike computers are really nice. I got mine secondhand from somebody for $75. I think that they're really useful when you're in the race because you can, especially if you're going for a time goal, they help you plan, they help you monitor your speed and how far along you are and everything like that. Don't spend a ton of money on them though, especially if your bike isn't particularly aerodynamic. It will improve your CDA, your coefficient of drag, which is a measure of how the resistance between you, the road, and the air affects the power coming out of your pedals. When you're smaller, you have less drag, so you move faster. it will affect that. But if you're not aiming for a crazy fast time and your bike is not like a particularly nice bike, it'll affect it a lot, but it's not going to, you know, shave off minutes, especially if you're not perfecting your aero position. So in my opinion, they're really just a comfort thing when we're talking about longer distances like a 70.3 or 140.6. Another really prefer to have for me is an indoor trainer, especially considering that I was training for an early season race in May, and training through the winter months in Alabama is, you'd think it would be fine because it's hot here, but it's not, because it's just cold enough to where it's unpleasant, but it's just warm enough to where you think you could maybe do it. But most of the time you can't. So for me, the mental effort of just throwing on some shorts and running on the indoor trainer was a lot easier and got me a lot more miles in than I would have otherwise if I didn't. Nice to have, don't need, is a power meter. I got mine refurbished from 4i for like $250. And it helped me pace out my sessions and helped me pace out the race, but in the actual race, I didn't end up relying on it as much as I thought I would. And so it kind of really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, in my opinion. If you're just going to complete it, you do not need a power meter at all, in my opinion. But if you're aiming for any sort of time, I think that I would think about investing in one. Aero helmet, I have an aero helmet. I did not need that aero helmet. It was a really bad purchase in my decision for my specific use case. My bike was not aero. My position was not particularly aero. Even if I had had like a perfectly dialed in aero position, aero bike, everything else, that helmet would have only saved me like 2 watts over 150 miles. So I spent $50 on it, but there was no need to whatsoever. I might even sell it, honestly. For the run, there are 2 things that you need, in my opinion. You need shoes and something to put on your legs. It is not that deep. Here are my Hoka Bondi 8s that I ran in for most of the training. These are kind of getting worn out. I need to replace them here soon. I like Hokas for the most part. Those ones have been kind of weird for me, and I might think about switching to something else, but they serve me pretty well. For shorts, I just kind of have whatever. These are Fabletics shorts, which I really like. That if you know how to like play their weird membership system, you can get them for like $15 each. But they have this inner liner that's super cool that I like, and they have like an interior foam pocket. So again, not sponsored or anything, but these are the ones that I like. I can talk about watches and heart rate straps at the end, because they're kind of a general thing, not necessarily specific to the runs. But going on to nice to haves is like a speed plate shoe. These are my Saucony Endorphin Speed Pros, something like that. These are my Saucony Endorphin Speed 4s, I think is what they are. They're nice. They've got a P-Vax plate in the midsole and this like kind of styrofoamy base. I like them. The toe box is a little small for me, but they help me run a 20:46 5K, which is the fastest I've ever ran a 5K. So definitely good speed shoes. But I ran faster in a standalone half marathon going 150:58 in my Hokas than I did in the Ironman or the half Ironman, and I did like 2:01 in that. So it's, you know, benefits are there, but how large are they really? Sunglasses, anything will do. I like my Pit Vipers. They're like tacky and expensive, but I really like them. Earbuds. I don't have the bone conducting ones, and my limited experience with them, I didn't really love them. Just anything will work, in my opinion. I like wireless just because I don't have to deal with the cord. The AirPod Pro 2s are what I use. If you can get some with like a passive mode where you can hear everything and your music at the same time, I think that's really helpful, especially if you're biking as well, because you can hear things around you while you're on the road, or if you're running in the road. I think it's really important to have some amount of situational awareness. Don't need but nice. Carbon shoes, expensive. They make you 2 to 5% faster depending on your physiology and how fast you're already running. The benefits for the average runner are debatable. I've yet to try them, but I'd love to. Nike, please sponsor me. Hydration vests. They're like really trendy right now, and a lot of people are wearing them on like 5K runs, but you don't need a hydration vest if you're running slower, like less than 40 minutes. But for a lot of people, they're like carrying their entire life with them on their vest, which some people need to do. I typically would like leave my keys hidden in my car, and I have like a secret key that I unlock it with. But a lot of people, they can't do that, and they need to carry their ID and their wallet and yada yada. Don't spend $200 on one. I feel like that's ridiculous. General equipment. I don't think there's anything you really need to have. I think you can get away with everything with like the specialized stuff in each subsection. Yeah. Nice to have is a smartwatch. It definitely helps, like just monitoring everything. This is the Coros Pace 3, which I really like. It's small, it's compact, battery lasts about a month. Does basically everything I needed to. They also released a Pace Pro, which seems really cool. Haven't really gotten to check it out in person though. Heart rate strap. I would put this in the need to have if you don't have a smartwatch, in my opinion. Mainly because it will drastically improve your ability to work towards specific goals. If you're kind of just doing this for the fun of it and you don't really care about reaching a goal or maintaining a specific training plan, then I think it's fine to not have any heart rate monitoring. But if you have any desire to do any sort of goal, I think it helps to have it just because it helps you track your TSS and it helps you know what zones you're in. It helps you plan during the race, stuff like that. A tri-suit. You don't need a tri-suit, but I think it's really, really helpful. This one was $60 from the Synergy outlet. It looks really goofy because it's bright red, but it's my favorite color, and I thought it would help me not be as hot in the May Florida sun. But not having to like figure out how to change in transition, because you can't get naked in transition, so you have to like cover yourself in one of those surf towel things. It's just too much effort. I'd rather have that. Or there are tri-shorts, which are like quick drying and meant to be ran in as well. Something like that. Those are a little bit cheaper than the tri-suits tend to be. But yeah. All right. Nutrition, the fourth discipline. So you need to have some form of nutrition. It can be peanut butter jelly, candy. If you look at the composition of a lot of the like foo-foo energy drinks, a lot of them are just purely reliant on maltodextrin, which is like a sweetener filler in a lot of like gummy candies. Like Nerds Clusters have them. I think Sour Patch Kids too. They're all like the same glucose, and maltodextrin will break down into just pure glucose in your bloodstream. So it's not as effective as the ideal combination of 1 glucose per every 0.8 fructose, but it's fine. I do think that it is nicer to have a specialized sports nutrition drink like Tailwinds, though. I really like Tailwinds. The flavor is really light, and you can, like, in my bottle during race day, I had 4 servings of Tailwinds in it, and it was sweet, but it wasn't like it didn't overpower me. Like if you had put 4 scoops of Gatorade into a water bottle, it would be sickeningly sweet. But Tailwinds is really light, has enough sugar in a serving that's like about what you should be consuming in an hour. So I thought that was really good. But this has been a summary of the need to have. This has been a summary of the needs to have for triathlon and 70.3 racing in my experience. If you have any comments, anything you want to let me know about, post it down in the comment section below. Anything I missed, anything that you think is vitally critical, put it down there. Leave a like on this video. If you could share it to some people, that'd be awesome. Trying to get this channel off the ground. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be posting a breakdown of that race that I did in May. So it's a little while from now. I'm filming this in December. But yeah, hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you around. Stay hard.